Many of the early trafficking NGOs, the specialists who are now seen as the leaders in this field, started off as battered immigrant women service providers.
Safe Horizon expanded its mission to include human trafficking. We started to see a number of young women initially coming forward with these types of complex cases where they were undocumented, where they were being brought to New York or to the United States, having experienced crimes that would typically be described as trafficking.
Doing advocacy for that it's understood.
People get scared when they hear about a new subject and think, I don't know how to do that. I wouldn't know how to work with that kind of person. And we had a discussion, as any agency would, about whether this was an issue we felt we could tackle, whether we were equipped to do this, and we thought it was a natural for us since we were a crime victim service agency.
They were able to take the tools that they were using for one group of exploited people and immediately switch those over to trafficking victims.
I'm from Mexico. When I was 16, I met someone who was older than me. I fell in love with him, so we married. He forced me to work as a prostitute. He told me a lot of lies about the police in this country, that we were illegal, and if I go to the police, they're gonna put me in jail. I believe him.
In many of the cases, the traffickers have often recruited people from their hometowns, from their homes, so there's a real intimate knowledge about who they are, where they're from, and their family's situation. And there were a lot of threats made against her, her family, her child.
I always want to quit, to run away, and he knew it because he always was like watching me. He never let me alone. He don't let me carry any money, nothing.
If you're in another country and you don't speak the language, if your documents are withheld, who do you believe? Where do you go for help? Who's going to believe you? You can't even explain what you want.
I got arrested, and that was the last day that I worked.
Here at Safe Horizon, we have a counseling center. Lucia was referred to us by a law enforcement agency, and so we were able to respond to her needs.
You have to know who to call. You don't want to call somebody for the first time when you hear that there's 50 people in a case. You want to already have your relationships built. Even though we have a very large agency here with a number of programs that we use, we have many partners in the community that add pieces to our program that we don't do.
Project Reach is a mobile response team. We offer initial crisis mental health services to trafficking victims and also support and technical assistance to providers. We'll work with the victims and work with the providers to address the immediate mental health needs of trafficking victims.
How are you?
In some ways, they're very similar to other trauma survivors, rape, domestic violence, but this other dimension of the being in a context of a complex legal system, being out of their country and away from their families, adds another level of stress that makes it very hard to heal from the specific types of trauma that they've gone through.
It's definitely important to be aware of someone's body language, their fear level. The fact that for many people who are trafficked, there's a very deep shame factor.
We need to help victims achieve a sense of safety. And, you know, when we think about safety, we sometimes think about safety in the outside. But I think we also need to remember that people need to learn how to feel safe inside.
I think we have very effective services, and I think that's the key, that we've worked very hard on the relationships that we have in the community.